The panic and the pandemonium started before Michael Jackson left customs at Sydney's International Airport. Believe it or not, but Michael Jackson is in the middle of this crush. There were several injuries in the crowd. Some had to be treated by ambulance staff. There were real fears that Jackson himself could have been hurt, but he emerged looking fit and well despite the crush and the 9-hour flight from Hong Kong. And the confusion prevailed here at the domestic terminal as well. Michael Jackson was kept in a private gateway lounge for over 2 hours because of flight delays. Fans waited at the Ansett terminal trying to glimpse the idol. 9-year-old Mark Russell scored the first Jackson autograph signed in Australia. The Sydney stopover finally came to an end with a walk along the concourse to give the media and the remaining fans a decent chance to see him. 7 National News was travelling with Michael Jackson and got these exclusive pictures of him entering the departure lounge, in spite of the Japanese tourists. We followed him onto the plane, where I was able to speak to him briefly. He was incredibly friendly and polite, telling me he was overjoyed at the size of the welcome, and he was excited and looking forward to the tour. There were no signs of the reported idiosyncrasies that seemed to dog Michael Jackson. After a rough flight, there was a less violent reception at Melbourne Airport. Crowds were kept well back as Jackson walked off the plane. He was clearly delighted when 2 Aboriginal ceremonial dancers greeted him. Jackson is thought to have taken a keen interest in the Aboriginal culture. But in less than 10 minutes, it was time to leave. Michael Jackson will rest until his first Australian concert in Melbourne this Friday. Richard Fitzgerald, 7 National News.
Jackson under wraps tonight, and fans may not see much of him before he goes on stage on Friday night. It's been that way since the gloved one flew into Melbourne this afternoon to launch his scaled-down Australian tour. And it was Melbourne that turned on the entertainment for the entertainer, as 2 Aboriginal dancers put on a show on the Tullamarine tarmac. The Melbourne welcome, however, was in subdued contrast to the near riot that developed when Jackson came through Sydney on his way south.
The moment the airport doors opened, pandemonium broke out. Jackson was pushed and shoved, occasionally falling to the floor, as 50 police and security officials, as many media and 300 fans jostled to see the superstar. Later, one of Jackson's assistant managers was to say he'd never seen anything like it. The riot moved out to the footpath, where the Jackson entourage made an attempt to get into the fleet of vans for the dash to the domestic terminal. Few knew that Jackson was to board an Ansett flight to Melbourne. With little crowd, worried officials breathed a sigh of relief. Despite what he'd been through, Michael seemed happy and relaxed. But over at the international terminal, officials were trying to piece together exactly what went wrong.
The airport authorities thought this was the way. I mean, he came straight out through the door, and I mean, we just have to sort of do what we're told, you know.
All I wanted to do was see him. I love him so much, and everyone just ruined it.
Sydney's inclement weather was to delay Michael's Melbourne-bound plane until mid-afternoon, but when he emerged, he was showing no signs of tiredness, despite his midnight flight from Hong Kong. In fact, he even had a word for his Australian fans.
I love them.
But there were no riots when the gloved one arrived in Melbourne. Security officials, having learnt of Jackson's ordeal in Sydney, made sure he was protected, with screaming fans kept safely out of reach on the observation deck. The 29-year-old superstar was given a truly Australian welcome for his first visit down under, with 2 Aborigines demonstrating their tribal dance technique. Not quite the fast-moving rap dance routine Jackson himself performs, but he was appreciative and rewarded the men with a rare handshake. Adoring fans who'd waited a couple of hours to see their idol were disappointed when he was whisked away within seconds. But they can look forward to his first concert this Friday night, which his road manager, Mike Harkins, promises to be an experience which will leave the crowds breathless. Mr Harkins was also quick to defend Jackson about the bizarre rumours surrounding the star.
I just think that people are able to latch on those type of strange stories, as opposed to knowing all the work that Michael does for children, and all the visits to children's hospitals that he does, all the charities that he gives money to. He's a very pure, honest, and caring person. And I think that is the point of view that should be looked at more often than anything else.
To describe the singer's arrival in Australia today. Jackson's here for the second leg of a world concert tour that's so far left fans disappointed, much like they were today. Joe Hall with...
The rock superstar flew into Sydney Airport first. There were several hundred screaming teenagers bearing gifts for their idol, who they actually never even got to see, and nor did anyone else. Through the media bun fight, one caught a glimpse of the black curls, but that was all. It was a slightly different story in Melbourne. Fewer fans kept well back, as were the media. Jackson was at least visible when he emerged from the aircraft, a normal domestic flight. There was to have been a group of 12 Aboriginal dancers to greet the singer, but 10 obviously went walkabout. Nonetheless, the reclusive star appeared to enjoy the very brief performance before he was whisked away by his bodyguards and hangers-on. All the fans managed was a quick wave. Jackson will perform his first Australian concert in Melbourne on Friday. Joe Hall, National 9 News.
Peter Wilkinson joined some of them as they prepared to welcome their idol.
He dresses, feels, says he even thinks like Michael. He's really 21-year-old Hanny Maris.
When did you realise that you looked a bit like Michael?
When other people told me.
What kind of things were they saying?
They were just calling me Michael instead of Hanny.
Now, Hanny from Marrickville never goes out unless he's dressed like Michael, has a room full of memorabilia, and an apparently tireless mother, Gilletta, who's sewn all his clothes.
And do you like Michael Jackson?
It's okay for younger people, not for me.
Really trying.
You're working at it?
Yeah.
Practice makes
perfect.
7 a.m. this morning, and Hanny is ready to join the welcome for Michael at Sydney's International Airport. What do you hope for? What's your biggest hope?
Just to see him and talk to him, that's all.
And talk to him?
Yeah, just talk to him. Say hi, how are you, and is he enjoying the tour and things like that.
Just to say, welcome. You better put on a good show.
The balloons are very colourful, but are you hoping to give them to him?
Try to, yeah, when he comes through, we'd love to hand them to him.
What are you doing afterwards?
I have to go back to school and do HSC exam. We're going to Melbourne with him today. We're going to fly on the same plane. And we're going to catch his show in Melbourne, 2 in Sydney and 2 in Brisbane.
Now, something fairly special happened this morning. We've organised for one of you to meet him this morning.
Not 1, 2. That's with three, all of us. All of us.
Sharon, seeing you've got an exam on this morning, you better make it memorable. And you can meet him.
Oh, that's fantastic. I can't say how much I want to thank you.
And in the crowd, an expectant Hanny, at this stage hoping for an autograph. But nothing could have prepared our fans or the promoters for the eventual reception. Somewhere in there, Sharon met Michael.
This is Sharon.
So, welcome to Sharon. Michael, enjoy your stay.
And Hanny, well, that autograph will just have to wait.
Steady up! All right, just steady up. Take it easy.
He walked out and we just said to him, you know, you can at least smile, say he smiled. And we go, good on you, dude.
Nice welcome to Australia. Really nice. Everybody comes and tries to attack him. That's really good.
Did you give him your balloons?
Look at them.
What happened?
Oh, we got them too for a second, but then all the security pushed them away.
All right. What was the problem?
It's just the way people treated him and screamed and chased after him and everything. It's just disgusting. He's just a normal human being. There was a near riot in Sydney where the gloved one broke his journey on the way south.
The moment the airport doors opened, pandemonium broke out. Jackson was pushed and shoved, occasionally falling to the floor as 50 police and security officials, as many media and 300 fans jostled to see the superstar. Later, one of Jackson's assistant managers was to say he'd never seen anything like it. The riot moved out to the footpath, where the Jackson entourage made an attempt to get into the fleet of vans for the dash to the domestic terminal. Few knew that Jackson was to board an Ansett flight to Melbourne. With little crowd, worried officials breathed a sigh of relief. Despite what he'd been through, Michael seemed happy and relaxed. But over at the international terminal, officials were trying to piece together exactly what went wrong.
All I wanted to do was see him. I love him so much and everyone just ruined it.
Sydney's inclement weather was to delay Michael's Melbourne-bound plane until mid-afternoon, but when he emerged, he was showing no signs of tiredness despite his midnight flight from Hong Kong. In fact, he even had a word for his Australian fans.
I love them. But there were no riots when the gloved one arrived in Melbourne. Security officials, having learnt of Jackson's ordeal in Sydney, made sure he was protected, with screaming fans kept safely out of reach on the observation deck. The 29-year-old superstar was given a truly Australian welcome for his first visit down under, with 2 Aborigines demonstrating their tribal dance technique. Not quite the fast-moving rap dance routine Jackson himself performs, but he was appreciative and rewarded the men with a rare handshake. Adoring fans who'd waited a couple of hours to see their idol were disappointed when he was whisked away within seconds. But they can look forward to his first concert this Friday night. Security officials, having learnt of Jackson's ordeal in Sydney, made sure he was protected, with screaming fans kept safely out of reach on the observation deck. The 29-year-old superstar was given a truly Australian welcome for his first visit down under, with 2 Aborigines demonstrating their tribal dance technique. Not quite the fast-moving rap dance routine Jackson himself performs, but he was appreciative and rewarded the men with a rare handshake.
HSV Channel 7 in Melbourne had their cameras there, and they sent us this exclusive footage this morning. Here he is, Michael Jackson, performing for the first time on, well, this time around, on Australian soil.
What did you think of the concert?
Great, really good, yeah.
Why did you think it was good?
A lot of times you get let down at a concert, but he was as good as you thought he would be, yeah.
It's better.
And you thought he was better than what you thought?
Oh, he was absolutely fantastic. It was
Bordering
great.
on genius.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Would you call it the best show you've ever seen?
It's the first show I've ever seen, so it'd have to be the best.
It was excellent, very excellent. Better than I expected.
Would you say it's the best show you've ever seen?
Brilliant. The best so far, yeah.
What did you like about it the most?
The dancing, the whole show was superb.
So it was hard to find a bad word about the concert. The authorities say the crowd were really well behaved and they had few problems. Michael Jackson's tour now moves on to Sydney for 2 shows, followed by Brisbane. Richard Fitzgerald for Sounds.
Yeah, bad.
His fans and infuriated motorists. 30,000 people crowded into Olympic Park for Jackson's only Melbourne performance and were dazzled by his musical spectacular. Backed by his 15-member group, he brought the crowd to its feet. And traffic to a standstill as concert goers headed home.
Slickest shows ever seen in Australia.
Around 30,000 people passed through Olympic Park turnstiles. Many were searched for weapons and alcohol. Inside, the entertainment started early with a warm-up dance, and there was also some juggling. Glossy reading material was also available. As soon as the sky got dark, the stage exploded with light and Michael Jackson. Jackson amazed the crowd with a dazzling dance display. After 16 songs and 2 hours, the masterful performance was over.
First major concert of his Australian tour. Jennifer Hansen reports on the night of nights for 32,000 fans at Olympic Park.
Security was tight and everyone entering Olympic Park Stadium was searched for potential weapons, cans, bottles, alcohol, cameras and even umbrellas. From daylight to dusk to dark, the crowd steadily grew, as did anticipation to hear the beginning of Jackson's first solo Australian tour, which was half an hour late in starting. Suddenly the lights blacked out, a thundering roar filled the air, and the enveloping darkness was split by a blinding flash of white laser light, which erupted from the stage as a panel rose and 5 figures slowly emerged. The rock star has already performed 14 concerts in Japan, but his efforts in the East obviously hadn't drained him. Last night, Jackson was full of dynamic energy, showing off his unique dancing style, electric movement and spellbinding voice to a crowd of more than 32,000 who watched enraptured.
Arrived 3 hours early. The earlier you came, the closer you got to stand to your idol. Some had been waiting for even longer.
Since I could walk, I've been waiting for Michael to get out here.
She's bad. And you don't have to be 15 to like Michael either.
So excited. I just can't wait for it to start.
And then, there he was. The stage looking like a UFO that had fallen from outer space and landed in Olympic Park. And the thousands mesmerised by the snub-nosed Michael Jackson. Love him or hate him, there's no denying that he puts on a slick show. It's not just the singing, the moonwalking and the intergalactic lighting effects that get you in. It's the way each song is acted out. Michael in love, Michael the street fighter, Michael in tears, Michael manipulating his fans.
Fantastic.
Just bad, he's just great.
And it's in this state he leaves us to load up the jumbo to continue his Australian Bad tour.
We're speechless.
Michael Jackson first came to Australia for a quick visit back in 1983 after buying the rights to the Beatles songs from an Australian. It was Australia's only glimpse of the superstar.
Since it was announced back in July that Michael Jackson had decided to make Australia the second stop on his current world tour, Michael Jackson fever has been rising slowly but very steadily.
I'm looking forward to it. It should be a really good start, yeah.
I really love Michael Jackson, but I'm a little bit disappointed with his latest clip. Why? Well, I think it's too sexy. There's a reason I get through because I'm bad. I'm bad. Come on. You know I'm mad. I'm bad. You know it.
Just exactly when Michael does hit town is another question. Jackson has already cancelled one show in Perth due to venue problems. He's now cancelled an Adelaide show on November the 8th due to poor ticket sales.
Who's bad?
The full extent of the build-up to Michael Jackson's Australian shows will only become evident once the superstar touches down under. Barsha Bonkowski for Entertainment This Week.